Hi guys, welcome to Pydjango tutorials. As you know, in the last video, we have successfully created login view and our token authentication. So as I said in the next video or in this video, we will learn about how we can hit that endpoint using React.js fetch API. We'll use combination fetch and Axios as well. Most people like to stick to fetch, so we will use that as well. Many people like to use Axios HTTP client as well, so we'll use that as well. So we'll use a combination so that people get to learn about both. In this, we will use fetch. Maybe in the coming days when we create more endpoints, we will use Axios for that. But as of this video, I promise. So let me just give a brief intro of what we are going to create in this video. So if I hit any endpoint here, or so if I enter email here, so let me just type it out here, test@gmail.com, and let's say this is test email, password is test 123456, and if I hit register, so this is already connected to the backend. uh, I mean, my backend is already up and running, so if I hit the register, I'm getting this response here, this email, first name, last name. So I get the exact same response. That means our user has created, because as you can see in my backend, actually, when our serializer is saved, I'm just returning the serialized data. That's all. So that means our function, our view is running successfully and our user is getting registered successfully. If I hit this request again with the same email, then I'm getting 400 bad requests, and this data where it is user with this email already exists, this error. That's, and I'm getting 400 bad requests because I'm sending that status code when we get any serialized error or anything. So this is what we are going to create in this video. I'm using fetch to hit the endpoint, and so you'll get to learn about fetch APIs, how to make the request using fetch, and you'll get to learn about state, how to manage state, what are state, what are callback function that update the states, and all these different things. So let's get on with the video. Okay, so here we have our registration form. So we have our register button. So if I look this in the browser, this is what our forms looks like. So when I hit the register button, I want to send the sign up request or register request. So how we will proceed for this? So we will create a function, something called handle form submission or submit form, something like this. And on click of this button, we will invoke that function. So this is our basic overview how that function will look like. We will use fetch API to make a post request to the our API, that is this API, this register API, and we will send headers as well and all these sort of things. So very first thing we'll do, we'll create a function. So I'm gonna name it handle form submit. Yeah, this will be a arrow function, and we will use fetch to make a request. So as we know, in fetch we have to give the endpoint. So we will give our endpoint here. So let me just give a base URL, create a variable called base URL. Our base URL, as we know, will be this, where it is, yeah, for our Django application. So I'll paste that here. And in our fetch, very first thing we have to give is our API. As you can see, the request info, very first thing is URL. So I'll use string literal. I'll give base URL, and this is, I think, already has a slash, so I don't need to give any slash here. I can just write register. If this is my endpoint, let me just cross verify this from our backend application. So this is register, yes. And next thing we have to give is method. So in my case, method will be post. Then we have to give headers. So in my case, I just need one header, that is content type. And as you might have guessed by now, content type will be application JSON, application / JSON. And next thing we have to give is a body. That is the data that we want to send from here. So we can just give body here as well. First thing I have. So body, I have to JSON string. I have to send JSON string. So I'll use JSON dot stringify and then the body. We actually, I forgot, we have to create body as well. So by body, I mean that all the information that user will fill in this form, that is in this form, I have to send that along with the headers and API request. So in React.js, we have something called state. I think I already have explained state in a previous videos, but I'll explain again. So I'll explain with the help of an example. Let's say you are playing a game on your PC or on your console, and as we know, there are different elements and different stages of the game. Different elements, as in you are on different levels, you are having different number of lives, and these things are ever changing. They will change as you progress. Maybe your lives will reduce, maybe your level will increase, maybe your score will increase. So we have to keep the track of this, and this is what state is. So like at a particular time, you are on level 3 and you have 7 number of lives. So at this particular moment, state of the score is 3 and state of life is 7. Let's say after 1 hour, your score is 25 and number of lives have reduced to 3. So at this particular time, your state for your lives will be 3 and state for your score will be 25. So this is just what state means. State means what is the current state or current uh, like what's the different term for state, like what's the current situation of the particular software or of a particular game or anything. So that's what simply state is. So as the state changes, you change that variable as well. So this is what state is. uh, I'm sure this may sound somewhat confusing for the very first time, but this is not, trust me. So as you go along with the tutorial, as you follow along, you'll definitely get to understand what state is. So just bear along and follow along with the tutorial. You'll definitely get the idea what state is and how we manage state and how we change state variable, how we pass state variable. These all different things we will learn coming along. So in React, for to create state, we use something called useStateHook. So I'm gonna name a state variable and I'm gonna name it form data, comma, set form data. State. So as I went press use state and pressed enter, this use state variable is imported from the React. So React has this functionality inbuilt. We are just using the functionality from the React, so it is imported, and we will give default value to our uh, email, text, password, and all. So what I can do, email for me for the very first time, email will be empty string. Similarly, first name will also be an empty string. Similarly, last name will also be an empty string, and password will also be an empty string. Okay, so let me just talk about the syntax here. Okay, so how we defines state? So very first thing we have to import use state hook from the React, and then we define a variable in this object form of notation, and then we define a callback function that is invoked when we want to change the state variable. So for the very first time, our form data will have these many objects: email, first name, last name, password, and they will have empty string as the value. Now if I want to change something, I will use this function set form data to change any of these values. State variable can be a single element as well. For example, we will use later on a single element as well, but we can have objects as well, array as well inside form data, inside use state, sorry. So what we can do, we want to send this data only. So we can send form data here, and that's all. Now our request is sent. Now what we have to do is get the or accept the response that we receive. So for that we have dot then, that is what happens when we get the response. So we'll take a variable called response, and this will be very first thing we'll do is convert this to JSON, and after that we'll get data from this JSON and use it for a purpose. So for now, I will do console.log data, but we can do anything, like if we want to redirect user to different page, we can do that here. If we want to show some kind of progress bar, or if we want to start some other activity after the success, we can do that here as well. But I'll just print the console log, and what other thing I can do is catch this, so that if we get any error, then we can track that as well. So I'll log error as well. Okay, so our handle form request function is complete. Now we just have to call this function. So what we can do is, where it is, yeah, on click of this, we can call handle form submit. Okay, so I think our work is almost done. Yes, okay. We have created our state. For the very first time, or when our state is created, the state variables are by default an empty string. We want to change these variables whenever we have a change, or whenever someone is writing something on these text fields or text input. So we want to set, like whenever user start typing something, I want to set email as this text user have entered, same with first name, same with last name, same with password. So how will I do that? So for that we have a function called onChange. So as we know, this is invoked whenever users start typing something on our input fields. So we have access to event as well. So I'll take E, then I'll invoke this state function set form data, because as we know, we have to change the form data. I'll use spreading operator. So I'll say form data, comma, email e dot target dot value. Similarly, we can do this for other fields as well. So we can have here this copy, and let me just paste it at the right places. Okay, so this should be first name, then this should be last name, and this should be password. These key should matches with these key, that is the state data, that state variables that you have created. So make sure of that. There might be chances that due to wrong spelling or anything, you might get error. So verify them if you're getting error. Okay, now I think we are ready to test our API. So let me just verify that our Django server is running. Our React server is also running. Let me just open console. I'll type out set form data is not a function. Okay, so we get error right away. Let's fix this error. Set form data is not a function. Okay, let me just verify this. Okay, this should not be curly braces. This should be array, because useState always return an array where first item is the state variable and second is the function to change that state variable. So this should be an index notation. I think now it should work. There should not be any issues. Okay, our program compiled. If I start typing something, anshureact@gmail.com. First name is Anshu, second name is React, and password is React 3456. I hit register, then I get core policy. Okay, is we need something called core header, so that we can tell Django that if the request is coming from this, you have to allow this. So there's a one package for Django called Django core header that will do this task for us. So I'm going to use this. Let me just copy this in our. Okay, I already have this. So maybe I think with Django this already comes, or maybe like this. I don't know, but make sure you install this on your virtual environment. And now we have to do some settings. So first thing is we have to register this in our installed apps. So in settings.py, and then they also provide one middleware that we have to use just above common middleware or just below session middleware. Actually, I remember that this used to be just below session middleware, but it, like as we know, in position, in middleware, position matter. So make sure that this is exactly at this position, just below session middleware and just above common middleware. Then we have core allowed origins, or we can for now just use all origins as true, or we can, like, we can set this. And R is localhost 3000 for React. We can delete other. Okay, now let's run the server. And now if I hit the request, this should work. Yes, so you can see we are getting the data successfully. And this is what we are actually returning from our view as well. So in our views, you can see we are just returning the serialized data, and that is what we are getting. Now after login, we will get login successful, but here we are getting serialized data and the response code actually, or the status code. So we are getting anshureact@gmail.com. Now if I hit again, then you can see I'm getting 400 bad requests, and I'm getting this message as well, email user with this email already exists. Now this error I'm getting because server is returning 400 bad request error, that's why. And our front end is designed in such a way to catch any error and show that, so that's why we are getting that error. Okay, so as you can see, our registration or register of a user is complete. Now from in the next video, we'll complete the login, and then we'll gradually move on to the channels and how to set up WebSockets and React and those sort of things. But in the next video, we will implement login functionality. We will implement uh, token authentication as well. We already have the token in our, we already generate token in our backend. Now we will get that token after the successful login and use that token for the subsequent web API request actually. So that's all for the next video. And once again, thank you so much for watching. And if you found this video any helpful, if you think you're learning something new, do like, share, and subscribe, and share it with others uh, as well. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.